Yeah, yeah. They always have to order mines though. So
Okay.
I'll do that. Call it in today. Well, I guess I'll pay for it online. I think you can pay for it online. I've never. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you
They always have
can.
to order mines though. So
All right.
call it in today. Well, I guess you can see my messy table in the back.
Oh, I didn't even notice it until you said something, but it don't look messy, I guess, from my perspective.
Oh,
Ah, yeah, for some reason my dog was not jumping up on her little perch by herself, so I was like getting her together. So it's all good.
yeah.
I, these little glasses that I have are like, I don't know, I guess they're my favorites, but they are so scratched up. Um, and these have those, I guess you could, the graduated bifocal, whatever, progressive
Uh-huh.
lenses. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
And so I wear these a lot, but they don't stay on top of my head very well. And
You can't
that's
keep
my
those.
favorite
Yeah,
spot
you can't.
to,
Yeah, you can't keep
yeah,
those.
yeah, that's my favorite spot to put them on my head.
Mine too.
Um, and this guy at C Eyewear that he sold me these glasses. He was telling me, he was like, I'm not selling you any more glasses because you haven't figured out that they go on your face and not on your head.
Oh,
So I'm like, okay, dude. He's a good guy though. I like him. Okay, so I am looking for a book. Um, hey,
good morning.
good morning.
Super preoccupied. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking for a book by Prentice Mumford, and
Why does that name sound familiar?
I am not seeing it, and I don't know why. I know I bought the book. Um, when Alan told me I had to take all my stuff and uh um he split up our thing, there was a lot of books that I don't think transferred over in our
In the Audible
in my
or
library
Kindle?
period.
Mm-hmm,
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
And he swears up and down that I must be doing something wrong, but I just don't see it. Like I had a whole bunch of, what is this? What are you downloading? I had a whole bunch of books on here and I cannot find these doggone books and it just kind of irritates me.
You may need to go on the computer and go through your library. Or do you have a tablet? Is that what you're using?
Yeah, so this is my Kindle. I'm using the Kindle
Oh,
right
okay.
now. And um maybe I don't know how to spell Prentice. I don't know. But I'm using the Kindle right now. So I do need to go back through my Amazon purchases and make sure that I got all of my stuff on there because it just that thing just kind of crazy. So good morning, everybody. I cannot find my doggone Kindle book. I cannot find my paperback book. And I know that I should have a paperback book because it is green in color and I keep looking through all of my books and somehow I'm not finding it. So I think I need to be present here right now. Hey Erica, I need to be
Morning,
present right
Erica.
here right now and just forget about finding the book. It's really something that I want to read out of it for this, well, in level 2 for that second chakra. I really would like to share something out of that book by Prentice Mumford, but I cannot find it. So we might not even get there today. So right, I might as well cool my jets. I was thinking about it yesterday. I got up this morning determined that I was going to find it, and I still don't have it. And as you know, I moved all my bookcases around. And so when I came in here to look on that bookcase that used to sit right over here, which is this bookcase down here, but I moved all the books off of that case into somewhere else, and now I can't find the doggone book. So I'm just going to be centered. I'm going to let that go. I'm going to take it like this and sit it over there and come right back and center and say, hello, good morning. We're all in our places with nice, shiny faces, and this is the way we start our new day.
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. And also, let me say to you, if anybody notices, because I looked in the mirror this morning and I was like, ooh, what's wrong with my face? And so that's something else. Note to self, put Benadryl on your pillow. I got to put my pills on it because I don't think to take them, but I can see that I have some inflammation in my face, and my eyelids are actually swollen. Hopefully you can't see all of that, but there is puffiness in my face, and I don't know what I'm having an allergic reaction to. And that
I'm still having that. Yeah, it's still happening.
So when I went into the massage, I went to have a massage done on Monday, and I took in these, like this big beach towel, and I covered over. I told her, I said, I don't know, like the detergent that y'all use to wash these sheets, but I bought a towel just in case. So let me put down my towel. So got this big bath sheet towel, and I covered the table with it. And I got on the table and I laid my face. You know how they had a little circle thing that goes around your face. So she put the cloth around there that's supposed to cradle your face. I laid my face in there, and my mask came down just below my nose, and I didn't make the adjustment to put my mask back up over my face, because I'm like, okay, I'm laying here face down. She has on a mask. We'll be okay. Well, 5-10 minutes into the massage, I could not breathe. The congestion, I was so congested. And I opened my eyes and I looked, and there's other sets of sheets that are stored beneath the massage table. And so, like, you know, I was telling you about how I'm really allergic to Gain and certain detergents.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if it is, you know, that, or if I'm breathing something in, but I was so congested. And I spent part of the time of my massage just trying to breathe. So I could be having reactions to the environment that I'm in on that day, or it could be something else. It could be I brought all those flowers in the house. It could be just, but I'm not allergic to flowers. I'm not allergic to flowers. I'm allergic to certain things, but flowers has not been one. But I don't normally keep them, well, that close up on me. So I don't know. I don't know what it is, but you know, whatever the case may be, if you notice that I'm puffy, then that's why. All right. So
I didn't notice. I look at you every day. I didn't.
I noticed in the mirror. I could see it in my eyelids. It's all in here. So let's just.
Goodness, sorry for my big face. I'm doing something. Like,
all right, so let's pray us in. Hey, you don't have on one of your necklaces today.
I don't.
Where is it?
No.
I'm always checking to see which one you have on.
Yeah, and I started to run back upstairs and put on a stone, but I got on my bracelet, so.
Okay.
Got my energy. Yes, my Wonder Woman banner, wristbands. What else? Doubt and negativity.
There we go. There we go. All righty. So I am so grateful, so grateful. I've had a great morning, and so grateful to be here, and to have sister friends,
Yes.
no matter what, just honored and blessed. And I'm sending out blessings and vibrations. Jessica came up in my meditation this morning, and I was just blessing her. And so, I just feel so wonderfully blessed. And it's wonderful when you're blessed and you're blessed.
Right.
That's good.
Well, yeah, because that keeps the energy going. When then it's like it expands the vibration. When
Yeah.
Yes.
And I was, and in my in the book that I'm working on, I was writing today about audaciousness.
You should write about that, because you talk about it all the time.
Yes.
It would be like if I read a book that I would be like, what happened to audacious?
Yeah.
Or the audacity.
Yes. Audacity to pray big prayers, and to know big, live big. That's and you know what? I just wish I had known that earlier. I wish I had known that when I was younger. And I don't know that my head or my mind was there,
Yeah.
It wasn't there. I was too busy trying to be,
But I think for me, when you say that to me, I think to myself, so what does big mean? Because I think when people think big, then they say, oh, I can't do that. Like they shrink back down. But I think that big is just the fact that you have the thought and then just moving towards it. Like, can we just stay? What was that we talked about the other day about don't look away?
Yeah.
If we could dream big and think big thoughts about ourselves and our purpose, and then don't look away.
Right. And then have the courage to speak your truth when it pops up for you, right?
Yeah.
When it comes up in your thoughts, instead of editing or wondering if it's appropriate or who's here and all that stuff, just having the courage to speak it then.
Yeah.
And I think that we become better mouthpieces for spirit, for God, when we are able to receive and deliver at the same time.
Yeah.
That would be so amazing. And so
that would be so good.
Yeah, so it's so interesting because I see little kids, especially little young girls, who start off and they seem like they just, they just are in themselves. But then as time goes on and they go to school and they get around other little girls and all of that, the stuff that we do to one another, and they begin to just shrink.
Marianne Williamson said something like that in that Return to Love, about the difference between us, the child, and the adult, is that we remember stuff gone wrong, and then we protect ourselves from stuff gone wrong. Stuff gone wrong, and so we never get to enjoy that space, or even go out, take yourself out to the bigger thoughts or bigger dreams, or just say what's on your heart and mind, because you think you can get it wrong. And we really can't get this wrong.
Yeah. Well, and I think that what sometimes what's wrong is what is that little that hockey player, Lesky, I think his name is. He says we miss 100% of the shots we do not take.
Oh, that's so good. Yeah. Why am I so receptive to that today? That was really good.
Yeah, we miss the shots we don't take. So
That's good.
So it's better to try and fail than to not try it.
Try it all. Mm-hmm.
And that sometimes is the tragedy. And then what does that mean? Oh, so let me tell you, look, I haven't prayed us in, but let me tell you this. When I first started doing radio, and I think I was doing radio back in the 90s, I was on WJMO and 1490 AM. And we used to have these kids, these like high schoolers that would come to the radio station, and they would work, work in the control room, doing the controls and, all of this stuff, and, they also had a radio show, but there was some young people and they used to come in and do the little things. And so I would always, I'm consistent in who I am. I was always encouraging people and saying stuff like, just like that. You miss 100% of the shots that you don't take, and believe in yourself and you can do this. I was always doing that. And so one of those little boys, he was still in high school, took it upon himself when there was a woman that used to come pick them up in the evening, one of the boys' mothers. And she would pick them up at whatever time. So they weren't there when I got off of the air, but they would be there when I started. And I don't know why I'm telling y'all this. This is like a little confession, I guess. I don't know. But one of the little boys decided that I must have been talking to him. And so he was going to take his shot. And so this kid, now I don't know how old I was. I had to be in my 30s though. This kid, when the woman comes to pick him up, he tells the other guys, the other boys, tell her I already left, or tell her I got a ride home. And so they left him there in the studio with me. And I had to close up by myself. And so when I see him still in there in the booth, I'm like thinking like, well, she ain't pick y'all up, right? I'm just, but I'm still doing my show. I can't break. I can't do anything like that. I'm just doing my show. And so finally, when I get off air, it must have been about 11 o'clock. I get off air and I go out there and I'm like, what are you still doing here? And he gonna saunter up to me like, well, you said I needed to take my shot. Dude, what you thinking? Like, you are 12. I mean, he really wasn't. I mean, he was probably 17, but I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, you said go for what you wanted. And I'm, girl. So this is the really embarrassing part. That I left the 17-year-old in the studio by himself. I walked out the door. And I said to him, I don't know how you getting home, but you ain't getting me hemmed up in nothing. And at 11 something at night, I walked out the door. I remember hearing the door slam behind me. I got in my car and I left that kid down on Euclid.
And that's your confession for today.
I feel bad about that from time to time.
But you just needed a clearing.
Maybe that's what I need to forgive myself for leaving that kid out there, because I could have handled it better. I could have been a more mature adult and grabbed him by his ear, told him, get his ass in the car, I'm taking you home, But I left him. We didn't even have Uber back then.
No, we did not. Or cell phones.
No. So
that's all right. He got that lesson.
Yes.
And he took that shot too. I ain't mad at you. High five, whoever you are.
Yeah. But that was just one of those things.
Oh, that was precious. Oh, I need that. That was good.
Yeah.
That was
So,
good. Oh, that was so good. So I had this conversation with my angels today. I'm like, well, where are you this morning? I feel like I'm not feeling your presence. What's going on? Like I'm walking up in the hallway. It was after my run, and I'm walking in the hallway like because usually there's just something that happens, and I notice something, and I'll know that it's from spirit, from the angels. I'll just something will happen. My day is always filled before 7 o'clock with something amazing for me, and didn't happen today. And I was just like, and now I come on here and thank you.
oh, okay. I'm like, I'm about to say, you seeker of signs.
That's me. So, and then today I get this, I'm just like, yes, this is so good. Like, so thank you. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
look,
was good.
but yeah, there's some stuff I guess I have to let myself off the hook for, right? Because that kid was like, dude, you are not getting me hemmed up like that. Yeah, that just wasn't happening. So
That's fun.
yeah, those guys used to be cool, but I was just like, yeah, let me you gotta watch sometimes the stuff that you say. All right, so
Okay.
Father, Mother, God,
Yo.
as we
Mm.
come into this space, into this moment, knowing that your presence is everywhere, there is no spot where God is not. We just give thanks in this moment for the ways in which you show up in our hearts and our minds, the way you show up through our prayers and through our words, the way you show up in our relationships, in our everything that we do. We just give thanks that we see, that we hear, we acknowledge, we know the truth that you would have us to see. So we know that our words spoken here are filled with your light, love, and wisdom of the highest. So we open ourselves to receiving that truth. We claim it. We claim the victory right here and right now. And so it is.
So it is.
Amen. Amen. Hey, you disappeared.
I'm back.
Okay.
Okay.
Yes. All right. So where were we yesterday?
You
Um, did I say that I think I
Page 80.
Okay. Are we at 80 or 81? For some
Page 80 in
80.
the sacrament. We were just getting ready to go into the Christian sacrament
Okay.
that's represented by the first chakra.
I got a little mark there, but I also had one over on 81 too. So here we go. Let's just dive in because I see you're all primed to do both work and conversation. So
Have
um
deadlines to make. So
okay. Okay. I got a couple coming up myself. So in the actual sacrament of baptism, now, let's talk about baptism for a second. Um, Baptism, tell me what baptism is from your perspective.
to me, I think that baptism is a joining into the family, to the from a Christian standpoint, is joining into the body of Christ, to being raised as a Jehovah Witness. It meant that I was coming into this fold, leaving out all the rest
Mhm.
of the environment, everything else. And so this is where we're going to be. And these are going to be your new family. This is the family now. This is the family. And so I think that baptism is an initiation, um
Oh, that's a good word.
mhm, into the family, into the fold, into the connection. And then I think Carolyn Meese kind of describes it similar to that as well. But yeah, so like when we baptize our babies, those of us who have done that, it's like um Yeah, and I think it's also a sign that I am going to follow the precepts
Mm,
of that organization as well, or that group as well. That I am leaving my old and coming into this new connection, and I'm going to follow the precepts
mm-hmm. And
that
so,
are
yeah, and so we have there's, I guess, many people have two different things. So there is the christening, and then there is also a baptism.
that's those are two different things.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know. I mean, that, I've witnessed both, and
Hmm.
christenings are done to babies, little babies.
Children. Hmm.
And so I know that they don't have a consciousness of where they are dealing with the fact that they are christened. It seems like it is a commitment, though, by the
By
family.
the family. Hmm.
And so when she talks about baptism here, um, it kind of makes me wonder, because she talks about the baptism of sacrament as if it is like those two processes are the same. And Erica says christenings are dedications. And so during the christening, that's where you get your godparents from, and then the family gathers and everybody goes through that of,
Yeah, but it's the commitment as a godparent or just as a congregation. Actually, the responsibility is to be for everybody that's within earshot of the ceremony, that
mm,
I'm going to be responsible for helping this child to grow up in the way of Christian religion. That I'm going to be responsible. That I take on my responsibility to encourage and impact this child from a spiritual standpoint. And so that was kind of the responsibility as a godparent, and the way I was taught to anyone that is in witnessing, that now they witness that I'm in the baby is now a part of our family, and we have a responsibility to usher them in with the knowledge that they need to be who they need to be.
and so I remember, so wait a minute, so let me let me see, because there's a part of me that wants to break this process down, because I know that John the Baptist, they were talking about John the Baptist and how John the Baptist was baptizing people,
People.
and basically foretold that Jesus was coming, that he was coming before, or one whose, you know feet he's not worthy to wash or whatever. Um but it was him out there in the wilderness that was doing the baptismal piece. And so it kind of set for me this idea of, first off, was John the Baptist the first that was doing baptism, or was this or did this precede this the what we call the New Testament? And then the other thing is that, for me, I'm always breaking down what water symbolizes, the subconscious, and
Oh, that's so good. Yep. Huh?
inner directedness. And so this idea of water also washes or cleanses. And so, and back in those days, people didn't take baths or showers like we do now.
Right.
So there is this submersion, and the submersion, the crossing the threshold from being above water to below water and then coming back again, would seem to symbolize a transformation. Now I'm going to submerge you into the subconscious, into into another realm. And as you come up, it is that idea of this transformation happening or newness, which to me would seem like it would be different from what you would do with a baby. However, let me say this, because as babies or as fetuses, we float in water. We are in water. We have submerged, and then we birth out of a canal into dry land. And then to go back under and then come back up is almost like a rebirth. And so it is a going inward and then coming out. And so here, and the reason why I'm kind of drilling down on this is because she says in this paragraph, in the actual Christian sacrament of baptism, a family makes a twofold commitment. First, it accepts the physical responsibility for the new life that has been born into it. And second, all members accept the responsibility to teach the child spiritual principles. So in indoctrination, we take that as a bad word, but an indoctrination into a school of thought or a system of thinking. Fulfilling these responsibilities creates a strong foundation of faith and truth upon which one can rely throughout life. So to me, that particular statement seemed to me more about christening than it did about the baptismal part. Same kind of thing, but the onus becomes on the family and not on the individual that is being baptized. Right? And then she goes on to say, for a spiritual adult, the sacrament of baptism, and here I am not sure what, like Marianne Williamson is very clear that she was Jewish. She's right. Jewish. Right. I am not exactly sure, but I think that Carolyn is Catholic.
She's Catholic. Well, right. Yeah. Catholic.
Okay. So then she says, for a spiritual adult, the sacrament of baptism is a symbol, carries twofold commitments. Again, twofold. First, we have a spiritual need to accept fully our family of origin as having been divinely chosen for teaching us the lessons we need to learn in life. So first is the family accepting the responsibility for teaching us. And then second, for accepting that the family that has taught us or has raised us has been divinely chosen to make that commitment or to do that process, right? So this is, so we were talking about this yesterday, right? About us as spiritual beings before we come into this incarnation, actually looking down and choosing our family. Like, ooh, let me go to this one, right? Because we recognize that the situation into which we were born is the perfect one for us. So if you are rejecting your family for whatever reason, if you have judgments on your mother or your father for whatever reason, if you have conflict with your siblings for whatever reason, that impacts you. That is impactful on your spirit.
Yes.
And those become the issues that we have to work through and deal with. They are perfect. I mean, it's like, even without you recognizing or remembering it, you have chosen this set of people as your what your teachers in this particular lifetime.
Yeah, it's almost like the Wizard of Oz. That's my favorite fairy tale. Is that a fairy tale? Adventure tale. Just like the Wizard of Oz, when you got your scarecrow and your lion and Tin Man. And so you say, in my imagination, you say where I think I want to be if I decide to live in my highest, biggest, best self, probably should start here. Because this experience here with these two and all that that's going to mean, it's going to get me from point A to point B. And then the big if is if I can remember that that's what I did. And I feel like that's if I can remember that I made this choice, that this is the family that I chose to come into.
Right, right. But you know, the ironic thing about the Wizard of Oz, since that's one of the ones that I like to dissect all the time. But the ironic thing about that particular tale is that the Scarecrow, the lion, and the Tin Man were all parts of herself too.
Right, the conscious part, yeah. Subconscious parts of herself.
Right. So those were things that really she needed to be about, the business of bringing all of these pieces, all of these parts back into herself.
Right.
So if our lesson is to learn courage, here we are, we see the outpicturing of this lion, who is supposed to be queen of the forest. We see the outpicturing of that, and then the work that then needs to happen in order for him to recognize, not just, and that's one of the things that we do, because a lot of times we look for symbolically for somebody to pin us with this courage badge, right? You are courage and courageous, right? Rather than recognizing that courage comes in the act of doing.
Yeah.
That it is sometimes people sit there and wait for permission or for somebody to say, I started watching, I'm shifting. I started watching that Marian, I think it's called Marani or Marani, something like that. Anyway, it was in the Oscars there, it won an award for, it beat Meryl Streep for that hillbilly elegy, the little Asian woman, for best supporting actress. And so I had this, this thing like, okay, I'm going to watch part of this. And so there's a son named David. I haven't gotten through the whole thing because, of course, I needed to go to bed last night. But the son named David has some heart issues in this movie. And she said to the little boy at some point, like, you're really strong. The grandmother did. You're really strong. And the little boy was shocked, and she was like, what? Nobody's ever told you that before? And he looked like, no. Like, where you get that from? But it was almost like by her uttering those words, it gave him a different permission. It gave him a different way of thinking about himself.
Right. And that was my intention in my comment, is that the people show up so that we get the things that we need to move ourselves to where the next place or the highest thought of ourselves is that we are what did Marianne Williams says about great more, I can't remember now, but just to get to our higher place, there's people who show up on our journey, i.e. our family, to help press us to be courageous if we need to be courageous, or go pick up some logs if we need to know that we're strong. Like, the life is like constantly having these episodes that bring us to the stuff that we need. And I think that our families do that for us. I think that they are the people that come on our journey with us to bring that stuff out and to bring us to an awareness of our strength, our courage, and all the different parts of us.
Or at the very least, they teach us about acceptance.
Yes, especially if you have siblings.
At the very least, we learn acceptance, you know, and
Oh, yes,
and
yes.
that in itself is a juicy, wonderful lesson, you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, because sometimes, you know, I don't know, but sometimes the people who and what's the funny thing is I used to tell my siblings, I still do, it's like, I'm not contingent. I'm not like a friend that you could just get rid of, or you could just kind of ignore, or not see or not call. Like, I am in your life for the rest of your life. This is like, and so you, whatever your things are, you know, you got no, this is not an option. I'm not optional. I am, darn it. And so, you know, in spite of their judgments about me or whatever, or minds about them, they are, it is what it is.
Right.
They are who they are. And right. It's like, I never forget, I did something that was so to my dad. I remember it being so embarrassing or whatever. And my dad just looks at me and he hangs his head and he just, you know, he just sits there shaking his head like, oh my God, this is my child. This is my child. It is what it is. It's that acceptance thing, you know, but we don't do that with other, you know, a lot of times we always acting like people need to be somehow different or whatever. With our siblings, with our family, yeah, that's, you know, whatever you think about them, you stuck with them. You got them.
Right, right. And the thing is, though, Sandy, is that everybody is our family. And everybody is our brother and our sister. Like that whole, it's beautiful when I think of it and hold it in my heart to understand that, and then to learn to be compassionate with myself means then I can be compassionate with them, as opposed to just what I said about the statement from Marianne Williamson's worrying about things going wrong. So if I show up as me, my amazing self, because that's my story, that's what I'm writing about right now, what that meant for me in the 3D and then what it means for me in my spiritual eyes is a whole nother person. It's almost like I can be in a whole fairy tale by myself in my spirit self, just being who I am, as opposed to the messages that you receive when you show up as yourself. And so when you show up as yourself, like you're too sensitive, you're too loud, you're too, you know, you grow up in households and families where you're too, or you're not enough. You're not strong enough. You're not, you know, quiet enough. You're too rambunctious. You need to be still. And so that's not acceptance.
Okay.
That's not acceptance. To say to some child, you're too rambunctious, go somewhere and sit down. Well, that's not acceptance.
Okay.
And so for a child, or even adult now, so I don't know, but let's just talk about the kids. For a child, we don't know what that impact does to a child that says, I'm going to change my personality.
Mm-hmm.
Because that didn't bring a smile, that brought a frown. That part of me, that aspect of who I was, did not put a smile on my caretaker's face or the adults who I look to have my affirmation. That didn't happen. That didn't happen in that episode, in that moment. And so it changes. It can change. It doesn't always. It's not Bible, but
right. But that too is part of the grooming process, you know.
Agree.
And while we may hear, because you know, I always heard, Sandy, you talk too much. Right? I heard that every day. Sandy, what happens in this house, I hate when they call me Sandy, right? what happens in this house stays in this house. I was always getting that message, always. Now look at what I'm doing, right? I still talk too much. I still talk. This is who I am. So it is not, so there's this thing of, you know, you live in your truth, and you're living your truth, and then somebody comes in and they speak a judgment about your truth, and sometimes it causes you to question or to kind of have all of these things. But then what you find is that sometimes the whole journey is about the finding your own voice, finding who you are. And so you're presented with that which you are not, you know, that you know, you try to fit into that, and then at a certain point you break back out of that. So it may be that it's the process that all of us go through. But now here's the thing, the wonderful thing about my family is in my family, all the criticism and the butt whoopings and all the stuff that I got, I never ever thought that my inclusion in that group, in that family, was ever at stake. I did meet a woman who used to talk about in her family when she got a bad grade or she disappointed her parents. She said that their parents would actually walk into the living room and take her picture down off of the wall and lay it down up until she got her grades up. And she would talk about how terrible that shaming, which I'll call it
that's what it is.
That shaming kind of exercise, how traumatic it was on her, and how it caused her to be the person that she was. And, you know, which I was thinking to myself, like, wow, you know, but we all bring different meaning. Would I have rather get a whooping than to get my picture taken down? I don't know. You know, we was hardcore. Shit, take my picture down. I mean, my parents went hard. Take the picture down. Here, I'll go in there and take it down for you. Just, I mean, if I could have avoided, I told you. Take it down, darn it. But that is, that's the, you know, that's their family. That was how they maneuvered. And I'm just sitting out there thinking to myself, like, what, you didn't get a whooping? You ain't get on punishment, you just got your picture taken down? Like, and how is that a big deal?
Well, for some people it is.
Yeah, I know. She was still traumatized about it.
Yes. Like there's a personality or a gender or a spirit that you know, my mother's statement, even though she still whooped my butt, which to me is abusive, because she would say, all I have to do is not all she has to think is that I'm disappointed. My mother knew that that was my personality. I came to this planet like that because I also came to this planet as this. I love when my parents describe me, just, I came here as a baby, just so excited. Everything was like, my mother's like, as soon as I could stand up in the crib, I was singing. I would wake up singing. My grandfather would be like, I'll take her. That's a whole nother story. But I would just wake up singing. I just always was singing. And to this day, my mother's barometer for me is like listening to see if I'm singing. But I've always been that way. And so she would say, that one right there, all I got to do is just act like I'm disappointed. And she just pull it together. But yeah, she still whooped my butt.
Right.
And that was even more. And so the butt whoopings were like devastating, like that just crushed my soul. So my grandkids, they don't get I don't play that. And then my kids, after so long, I just was like, this felt like slavery to me. I felt like a slave master putting my hands on my children. So
Oh,
I just couldn't, but because of who my personality is some kids need that, I suppose, because
yeah.
everybody gets what they're supposed to get.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
I can, your person that you were speaking of, I get that
Yeah.
because
My sister never got whoopings. My sister never got whoopings. She was one of those, she was one of those.
I see what you're getting. I'm good.
Wait a minute, I'll say it like this. She was one of those, she is one of those people pleasers. I'd be like thinking like, what, you not happy? That's your problem. I'm not, I really don't, I don't say I don't care, but yeah. And Erica says, it seems like everything we have done or do is trauma or traumatic to somebody. And so sometimes it is, you just is the appropriate thing. Some people will learn better through, that, I'm gonna give you the eye, because my mother could give you a eye, right?
Mm-hmm.
Side eye on you. All she got to do is look at you and straighten up. She don't piss her off, right? So we knew, but at the same time, I'm going to tell you, I am still a rule breaker. I am still a rule breaker. That is just my nature. I will, I don't know. That's just who I am. And so for those of you who are watching, if you haven't figured that out yet, I'm going to challenge you. Think for yourself, right? So dramatic. All right, so let me move on. So the second, here in this spiritual sacrament of baptism, second, we commit ourselves to accept personal responsibility for living honorably as a member of the human tribe, for doing unto others as we would have them do unto us, and for respecting all life on this earth, right? And it it is that we are, this, and basically, while I'm saying I'm a rule breaker, basically I respect the tenets of society.
Yes.
Because I am one of those feeling, sensing, compassionate people, and I would never ever want to be the cause of somebody's pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I am one that knows that we are all, sometimes people just need a push. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not a push. Sometimes it's just an idea. Oh, I didn't know I could. I didn't know that was I can't.
I think I imagine that to be the fact that people know that subconsciously they are aware of their whatever. And I think when I hear for my story, when I hear other people say certain things and I'm like, yes, it's actually something that I've thought about in myself, but I've said something negative or contrary to it in life. That's why I look for these angel sightings. Life brings it back up to say, no, you were right. Go forward with that. You're okay. Like you can do that. Like go ahead. So those ahas that people like you, people like me bring to the table are good. I
Yeah.
think it's good that we sprinkle that little pixie dust
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
around because it helps us too.
Yeah. Yeah. So she says, by fulfilling these two commitments, we are in essence baptizing ourselves and honoring our own lives. There's that word honoring again. I so love that word honor. We are honoring our own lives. And one of the things that I'm constantly aware of and I think about is to honor your life is to live your life, to live it fully. And there are a lot of people who, who fail to do that for whatever reason, whether it is out of fear or out of apathy or whatever. And sometimes, we just get caught up playing small. And so this thing of living our lives is just big for me. And so renegating our commitment, reneging,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
reneging on this commitment, for instance, viewing our family of origin in negative terms depletes a great deal of the power from our energy system because it opposes a higher truth within our energy system. And so I will say that that is a big deal.
That's a huge.
Yeah, if you have felt rejected by your family, if you were put up for adoption, if you are the one that is embarrassed by or not wanting to connect with your family, that causes what basically that first chakra issues. It causes those issues.
Yeah.
And so you have to figure out how to, in the midst of that, make peace. So so when I said that thing about don't look away,
Yeah.
sometimes we have to sit with ideas, right? And I don't think that enough of us learned how to truly ponder or wrestle with. I think that was one of the wonderful things about that story about I was going to wrestle with that angel until he gave me my blessing, even if it meant all night, to learn how to sit in a particular energy and really ask it questions, right? Really, see what's there, chew on it for a minute. And when you have that ability, that notion to just kind of sit in a space, right? um that is a powerful thing. So say for instance, if nothing else, like here's one of the things that I used to do: write a letter. Sit down and write a letter about, and then sort of enumerate the thoughts that you've had. And doing that is kind of like making a visual prayer of something. So like when one of the things that I say that's great, and I'm sorry that I'm jumping around, but one of the things that I say that is wonderful about prayer is that a lot of times we pray and we want to think that somehow the other person is going to change. And so we start on these endeavors. Say, for instance, you got a problem with somebody you work with on your job, or a friend of yours, or a family member of yours, whoever you have a problem with. Start to pray about them. Not praying, and here's the thing, because sometimes what we do is we start praying and we want that other person to change. We want to cause a change in their life. But really what happens is that it causes a change in our life because we begin to see them in a different light. And sometimes that thing is, like, you don't like them? What? God could be saying, oh, I think that they're perfect. I think that they're great and that they're great for you. And so when you start to look at it from, oh, this is what the universe sent me. This is divinely appointed. This person is a part of my curriculum and they're here. What is it that I'm supposed to learn? And so through that endeavor, what we have is that we have an ability to soften our perspective, to possibly change our mind, to see what it is that that person could be bringing into our life. And one of the things that I have always tried to do is and sometimes we don't do this consciously with the people who are closest to us. But one of the things I try to consciously do is to speak words of affirmation or encouragement over the people who are in my life. And by doing so, it causes me to really dig deep, because I don't like I'm sure most of you don't like trite compliments, just something that to say, just to give one. I really want it to be something that says, I see you. And so when you say something that says, I see you, you get deeper into what it is that a person brings, what it is, the gifting that they have. And that gifting can illumine certain parts of you that you didn't even know were triggered or aware, or certain things in you that you didn't even know needed the healing work. And so this thing of dealing with this, knowing that you need to deal with this family of origin stuff, whatever that may mean, whatever, and in some schools of thought, they call it your soul group. So in that soul group is the people around you that have impact or influence. People who, and in this next section, we'll talk about this idea of breaking bread. Who are you eating with? Who are you spending your time with? And what happens in the context of that exchange? All of that becomes really significant, and it is yours to deal with. And so one of the things that I want to make sure that you get that no matter how far in your past they are, or how deeply buried this idea is, if your parents are dead and gone, then you still need to sit with that idea that you have about them. You still need to do healing work with that sibling that you no longer talk to, or that you are not engaged with. And that healing work is a major thing, right? It is really major. I've had friends who have had issues with siblings, and they don't realize how that informs and impacts their relationships as they move forward. It is yours to do. I don't know. I don't have all the answers to the questions, but I know that it is yours to deal with. And like she says here, that viewing our family of origin in negative terms depletes a great deal of power from our energy system. So when she says a great deal of power, it's not that it's just like 10%, right? That's got to be somewhere in the 25 to 45% of your power, whether you are conscious of it or not. So begin to do the work. So, and sometimes the work is like I was saying before, write a letter and just try to get it all out on paper. If you write that one today, turn around and tomorrow write another one, right? You don't have to mail these off. The letters are not just for them. You don't even have to ever give it to them, but the letters are for you, so that you can understand. You can, and then try to, one of the wonderful, beautiful things of having other people is that sometimes it expands our thinking into, how do I want to say this? So we see the world, you see the world, I see the world in a particular way. But the ability to see through another's eyes is almost like an added growth. It's an added additional process that says, that expands my consciousness rather than contracting. So it takes it out a bit further. And so to see through another's eyes, or possibly understand from their perspective, can be huge. It can be like growing your consciousness, your conscious, your field of consciousness. And that is amazing and divine. It is amazing and divine. So let me try to finish out this section. I know Stephanie probably had to take a call, and we're at the bottom of the hour, so it's time for me to get off of here. But the Shekinah, whose name is divine presence, this is the last part of this level 1. Divine presence is divine consciousness that creates and protects the mystical community of Israel. So, in a more symbolic or universal perspective, the divine consciousness creates and protects all tribes of the human race, right? So, Shekinah is also a doorway into the divine. One who enters must enter through this gate. So this is wonderful. This is wonderful. One of the things that we talk about in this particular system, in this particular way of thinking, is the chakra system itself. And the chakra system itself, remember, I've been talking about how the first 3 chakras, that means your root chakra, which is right at your anus, which is the letting go, the annihilation, the where things exit, right? Because we're always like, our body is always processing stuff, and it has to get rid of it. And so that is symbolic of this family structure of what connects us to the earth. All of that stuff is found in this root chakra. And so that is the gateway, the doorway, without which there is no crossing. There is no this entering. There is no passageway. It is what starts the journey. And so that process is animalistic in nature, and it connects us to every other thing. There is nothing that exists that does not, what is the word? Annihilate, excrete, give off some kind of waste. Everything has that process. A snake sheds its skin, but it also takes a crap. Flowers, they lose their leaves. They have ways of getting rid of, or actually releasing things out into the ethers. Everything has that process of release, because there is a process that goes through this. And so all of that is that first chakra thing. So you enter through the gate, and the most appropriate description, it says, as Shekinah resonates to the first or tribal chakra of the human energy system. In order to ascend in spiritual truth, it suggests that we must first honor our family and all human communities. So there is that thing of recognizing and honoring. And the more you hold on, the clenching, not seeing the beauty, the value, honoring that, the more you clench, the more you are trying to not allow what is a natural process to happen. And so being able to do that is a major thing. Don't get stuck. Don't get stuck in just that first chakra thing by not accepting your family, right? Oh my gosh, that is so imperative. It's kind of like out of the Matrix. Morpheus said to Neo, he says, I can show you the door, but you have to walk through it. It becomes the job for you. If this is your issue, it is yours to do. I can talk about it all day long till I'm blue in the face, but you have to do the work. You have to actually do the work. So that means sitting with it. That means writing the letters. That means working through the issues. If you want to sit a chair in front of you and talk to your father or your mother, if whatever the case may be. And two, let me say too, that just like rejecting your family of origin can have an extreme impact, holding too tightly, right, can have an impact as well. And I'll need you to sit with that too, because sometimes what we do is we deify people, we deify others. Like if it's your parent or your sibling, we have a tendency to make them out of little gods and continue to send our power into something that has no ability to sustain us or to give us that back on a continuous basis. You'll see people who get stuck because of a parent that left or something that else that happened that caused some issues there. That too is something that needs to be healed. Our abandonment issues need to be healed. Our all of that stuff is, sit with it and see what is there for you. And if you find something that you need to work on, do the work, right? Do the work. It's, this is not just, and I know it may seem like we're on here just having a good time talking, and that we are. But this is really about healing. This is the healing work that is to be done. So have at it. All right. I'm gone. And I thank you, Stephanie, for being here today. I thank all of you for being here today. Bless your hearts. And I will be here same time, same place tomorrow. And we will continue on with this conversation. All right. So the light of God surrounds you. The love of God enfolds you. The power of God protects you. The presence of God watches over you. Wherever you are, God is in its fullness and all is well. You are totally loved, absolutely loved. And you are just where you need to be to get exactly where it is you're going. So thank you. Thank you. I bow deeply to you, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right. See ya. Yay.